Please welcome the star of Brittlestar, Stewart Reynolds.
I wasn't really ready for this. Like, the room is pretty big, and it's the big screens, and I'm not, now that I'm here, I'm a little concerned. I mean, I prepared and everything, I prepared for this, but I mean, I wasn't really ready. Because no one is ever really ready for anything. Boom. Wake up, sheeple. That has nothing to do with anything. I just always wanted to say, boom, wake up, sheeple. And I don't have any, I'm not a conspiracy guy, so I don't really have any time to. But it's true, no one is ever really ready for anything. So think back to your driving test when you're going to get your license.
Mirror? Check. Seatbelt?
Yep.
10 and 2? Mm-hmm. Let's go! Whoa!
When you went for your driving test, you prepared, you practiced, you did all that stuff. You thought you were ready, but there's so many variables at play. You, how you're feeling today, how the car is, how the other cars on the road are, how those drivers are, how's their day going? You don't know. The driving instructor, what's going on with him? Is everything okay in his marriage? He doesn't seem like it is. Something seems wrong. You don't know what all those variables are when you're going for your driving test. So you do what you can to prepare, but you're never really ready for that exact moment until you get into that moment. So case in point, there's a lot of us here have children, right? Almost everybody here has children, except for Jordan at the top, who just showed up. I don't know how he got in here. But I think knowing what we know now as parents of these children, and we think back to who we were before we had children, I think it's pretty obvious we can say we weren't ready for that kind of challenge and what that meant. I mean, sure, we painted the nursery, we'd get the crib, we'd do the car seat, we'd baby-proof the house.
Done.
Right? House totally baby-proofed. And you think you're ready. And nature's like, ha! You're not ready at all. And nature says to you, you know the head of the baby? And you're like, yeah. Where all the brain is and stuff? Yeah. That's protected by the skull? You're like, yeah, it's like the most important part of the baby almost. Yeah, we're not going to finish it. We're going to leave a hole in the top for like weeks. You just got to worry about that all the time. The brain is going to be totally unprotected. No one's ready for that. You're not ready for it until you're doing it. It's happening. Waiting is awful. Waiting for someone to arrive so you can go out. Waiting for that phone call. Waiting for someone to tell you that it's time to do something. Waiting's awful. But it's also kind of awesome. Because waiting means you don't really have to do anything. When you think about it, it's kind of like a displacement of responsibility. Because if you want to do this, and you're waiting for someone over here to tell you that you're ready to do this, what you're really saying, it's kind of a cop-out. What you're really saying is, if they come to you and say, you're ready to do this, and then you do this, and you suck at it, and it's terrible, you can say, well, it's not my fault. I obviously wasn't ready. This idiot over here told me I was ready to do it. I wasn't ready. Look at me. I'm not ready to do anything. So it's a bit of a cop-out. Music is and was always a huge part of my life. And I had been in bands and in my teens and all that kind of thing, but never really felt I was ready to put myself out there, to like really just kind of just go for it. I never thought I was ready. And I was always waiting for like a record label or a manager or somebody to say, you got what it takes, kid. Get out there and do it. And that just didn't happen. And in 2004, I decided I was tired of waiting. I was just going to do it. So I contacted a musical hero of mine, just on a lark, and offered web development help in exchange for some songwriting and production help. You know, the age-old rock and roll cliche, web developer meets rock star. Everyone's heard the story. And he offered some help, and I made a record. So I made this album, and I picked a name, Brittlestar, for this fictitious band that didn't exist. I called the album Waiting, because I was tired of waiting. And then I tried my best to make sure everybody knew about the record. So I tried hard to make sure it got sent around and people were aware of it. It did like a cross-promotion with The Killers on Amazon.com. So if you bought their album, you got my album cheap. And if you bought my album, you got their album cheap. Anything I could do to help those guys out. I don't know what happened to them, but it was great. And then MTV licensed the whole record for their TV show Real World. And that's like one of the first reality shows, if you guys probably know. A bunch of kids live in a house, they film them all the time. And they licensed the whole album and used it for this show. And actually, I can remember the one particular episode where there was this young woman who was on the show, the cast of the show, and she's breaking up with her boyfriend on the phone. It's like it's a long-distance relationship, and it's really heartbreaking, and it's very, very sad. And you know, she's crying. She's like, "I love you," and you can hear his voice, and his voice is cracking. He's like, "I love you too. You know, we just can't make this work. It's too hard," and it's super, super, super sad. And my song is playing through the entire thing. It was fantastic. It was awesome. And you don't get paid unless it passed 30 seconds. And so my wife and I were watching it going, "Keep crying, keep crying, yes!" But I got tired of waiting. And I put together this band after the album came out. And we played all these clubs that I wanted to play. And we got added to a music festival and played that, and it was amazing. And I thought to myself, I'm 34 years old. Why did I wait this long to do something I wanted to do when I was 20? Well, who was I waiting for? Who was I waiting? Who was going to magically come along and tell me I was ready? So in 2013, our business had been hit really bad in 2008, and we had a really hard time getting back on our feet. It was super hard. So we were in a bad way in 2013. We had bill collectors, we had the bank calling every day, we even had the notice on our front door of our house. We were literally less than a month away from losing everything. And Vine came along, this glimmer of green hope, Vine, which is the platform that you do 6.5 seconds, looping videos. And I messed around and I did some videos with a 12-inch plastic Chewbacca doll, like any guy would do. And then I decided I got some good feedback, and I thought, well, I'm going to mess around with this. I'm going to try to play a little harder here and see if I can get some better results, because people were liking what I was doing. So in August of 2013, I posted a Vine called Put Your Finger on the Screen, and it blew up. It went crazy. Within 12 hours, it was over 1 million views. I was getting like over 100,000 followers in a day. It was craziness. It was absolutely insanity. I thought, this is it. And then within a month, Disney contacted us and flew me and my family to California to be a part of this social media all-stars event with all these other sort of amazing, notable talent, like Jorge, like Grumpy Cat, who had his own trailer, actually her own trailer, it's true, and less notable talent like Charlie Capon, who was also there. And it was amazing. So suddenly bills were no longer an issue. It was just great. We had money. It was great. Other brands were working with it. It was fantastic. I got invited to the White House, the Obama White House. I need to declare, as a Canadian, I need to legally declare that it was it. It was fantastic. I got to go to the White House for the arrival ceremony of Prime Minister Trudeau. And it was amazing. Things were going great. And we had worked so hard to build this following over like 3 or 4 years. And then suddenly we hit 1 million followers. It was crazy, 1 million followers. We had arrived. I was getting all these opportunities and money, and it was great, it was fantastic. I even got hired to host a series where I drove Lamborghinis and talked about sex. No, totally serious, that's not a joke. Yeah, I hit 1 million followers. No, I'm not gonna let it change me, come on. 1 million, I'd arrived. That was it, right? 1 million. Oh, and then Twitter killed Vine, and I went down to 0 followers. I mean, we knew it was coming. We saw it was, we saw the writing on the wall. We'd kind of been tipped off this might be happening, and we tried to do our best once they officially announced that it was going to be closing down within so many days. And we tried to do what we could to salvage what we had. You've probably heard that Vine is shutting down. I'd like to thank all of you for following. And if I can get each of you to send me $1, that... It didn't work. Nobody sent $1 at all. Mind you, there wasn't enough time to put my address in the Vine, so that was probably part of the problem. But the thing is that social media was, and still is, very much to this day in a state of flux. Just like anything in life. Everything is in flux all the time. And time doesn't care. Time just keeps marching on. Life just keeps moving forward. And it just keeps on happening. So, life, there's the things that you want to do, and you think you're waiting for someone to tell you you're ready to do. And then as a parent or an adult, there's the things that life doesn't care if you're ready. Life's just like, no, you're doing this. My wife and I bought a house, and that summer we got married in the backyard. That's not our backyard, but that is my wife. And we got married in the backyard, and we invited 5 friends from Scotland to come stay with us for the week before and the week after the wedding. And this is a small house, and after about a couple of days, we noticed this terrible, terrible odor. A really horrible smell each day. They seemed to be getting stronger. It was a smell that can only be described as a combination of fart and cologne. And like a hybrid type smell, which is sort of initial, sort of like, oh, that smells, oh God, no. And, I mean, naturally, we blamed the foreigners right away. That was obviously the problem. Because if you've ever been around Scottish people on holiday, they smell like fart and cologne. It's true. I can say that because I'm Scottish. It's true. Luckily, 2 of the guys were builders, and they said, let's pinpoint the cause of this smell. So we walked downstairs into our unfinished basement, and they led me over, and they said, do you see that black crystalline sludge on the floor? Yes, I do. That's human poo. That's what that is. So he said, you've got sewage seeping in from the front of your house into the basement. And I was like, I'm not ready to be a plumber. Like, what the hell? I didn't have the money to hire someone to fix it, but I'm not ready to be a plumber. But life doesn't care. Life is like, just do it. Just get on with it. You don't get a choice for someone to tell you you're ready to do some stuff. It's a bit like punk music, right? It's a bit like the Clash or the Sex Pistols to me. I love this punk ethos idea where you don't wait to go on stage. You just go on stage and you do it and you suck and you get better. That's it. It's just like sometimes the only difference between you and the guy on stage is the fact that he's on stage. You might be on totally equal footing and totally equal preparedness. As I'm saying that, I realize how dangerous that is because I'm on stage right now. But I'm not getting paid, so feel free to take over. So it's fine. So there's a difference between, sometimes you realize there's a difference. There's no difference between you and someone who's doing something. The person who's doing it, the only difference might be the fact that they're actually doing it. And it's really important to remember that. When I was 15, I played in a band. That's me playing bass there on the right side of the picture. Most of my body weight was hairspray, actually, I think, in those days. But we played this show, and after the show, this guy, we were kind of new wave, as you might have guessed from the picture there. This guy came up to me about my age. He's kind of a heavy metal type dude, metalhead, metler. I was more of a new waver, a spinner, as they called them in my day. And he comes up and he says, saw you play. I was like, oh yeah. He goes, I play bass too. I was like, oh cool. And he goes, you suck at playing bass. You're crappy. You don't even move your fingers. And I looked him up and down, from his Iron Maiden t-shirt to his greasy heavy metal hair. And I said, yeah, but I was the one on stage. You weren't. And then I ran before he could hit me. So it's really important to remember that the only difference sometimes is the fact that the guy on stage is on stage. That's the only difference. You might be ready already. Once I decided, and once I realized, back in 2004, once I realized I got to stop waiting for people to tell me I'm ready to do stuff. I just need to learn as much as I can, prepare as much as I can, just go out there and just do it. And suck and then get better at it. It opened up so many opportunities and so many amazing things for us. We've been so lucky and we've done so much fun stuff. From our videos, going to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these other platforms and doing our live show, as Doug mentioned, the Morning Show thing on Facebook. So We've done so many cool things just because I decided I'm not going to wait for someone to tell me I'm ready to do this. We did the morning show thing starting on Facebook. My wife said, Shannon said, we're not qualified to be morning show hosts on Facebook. And I was like, there are no qualifications to be morning show hosts on Facebook. You just do it. So people say the secret is that nobody really knows what they're doing. And gosh, I hope that's not true. I mean, I had a tremendous amount of faith that the pilot of the plane bringing me here knew what he was doing. And the doctor who did my vasectomy really knew his way around a scrotum. I feel he knew what he was doing as well. But the secret, I think, is that no one is ever really ready for anything. You prepare. You learn as much as you can about what you want to do when you're given a choice. If you want to do something, you learn as much as you can. And then you do it, and you adapt. And you change, and you get better. So you prepare, you start, and you adapt. Because no one is ever really ready for anything until they start doing it. And then you just get better at it. So it doesn't matter if it's podcasts or vlogs or blogs or videos or new jobs or business ventures or whatever. Stop waiting. Because the clock is ticking. You're all running out of time. Start. Thank you.